The Mose Knows podcast, hosted by Cory Mose, greatly appreciates you for tuning into this week's episode. Enjoy.
Good morning.
And good evening, beautiful people. Before we start the pod, I just want to give y'all a disclaimer. Your boy's sick. All right, so if you hear a couple sniffles, if you hear my voice a little bit raspy, that's why. So don't make fun of the kid. But anyways, yes, another episode of Mose Knows is here. Deon, man, we had such great guests for this upcoming show. Of course, Mike Hardge, he's going to talk about Texas baseball. And my guy, Reggie Wilson, Kare 11, sports director out there in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He's in the locker rooms. He's face-to-face with Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert. Asked a question of Mike Conley, and he provided some context around that question in our conversation later in the pod. And so you don't want to miss that, because the talk around the NBA is all about Minnesota, funny enough. And so, of course, we had to bring my boy Reggie on. But for right now, though, Deon, as we start every podcast, how is your week going?
It's going good. Episode 22. We're back for another banger. This week has been a very interesting week. I say that I just started the Equalizer series, or I'm finishing up the Equalizer series with Denzel. Yeah, okay. It's I would say it's like Black John Wick. He's just on a killing spree. Not to the level of John Wick, but just more so. They kind of just throw you with this guy, and they don't really give you any backstory of how he got this cold, but he just is, any bad stuff he sees happening, he just starts going crazy on people and shing shing, cut, boom, 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 cutting this and breaking this off. And so yeah, it's kind of it's a funny movie. It's a funny movie because, like I said, they don't give no context of how he got this cold, but he just in here going crazy. So
is there a plot about like why he's killing people?
Like I say, if he sees you doing somebody wrong, like I think, well, I watched two last night, Equalizer 2, and kind of the beginning of the movie is these guys mess with this girl in a bad way. Okay. And he was driving, he was the Uber driver, and so he's like, he went back to the hotel and, hey guys, I know what y'all did. That wasn't cool. Yeah, I know what y'all did. So if y'all can call the cops and tell on yourselves, or, you know, we can handle this another way. And so he just proceeds to, you know, they always take the other way, and he proceeds to just open a can of whoop ass on them. So it's just hilarious. Yeah. So
not a dead puppy origin story like John Wick. No. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, there's no origin. They don't give any. Nothing like to John Wick, but interesting. Like I say, just action packed. He's just going around, shoot 'em up, bang bang. So I love action movies. So yeah, they got me hooked. So I'm finishing up 3 today. But that's for my week. How about you, Corey?
Well, I want to apologize because I haven't seen Rise of the Planet of the Apes yet. I know last podcast I said I was going to check it out.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
My bad. Rise is what, the second one?
Rise is the first. Yeah.
Oh, see? Look at that. That's how far behind I am. Look, I just want to see Caesar, bro. That's all I'm trying to see. Okay, but I got to see the movie. You know, that's on me. I have watched Bridgerton. I know that says a lot about me. I apologize. But new season came out. I have to watch it. I started it a little bit. And nothing else crazy though with life. A couple of interviews coming up, but other than that, I'm a little bit sick, like I mentioned, and so I'm trying to get over this cold. Got a little green tea with some honey in it, you know what I'm saying? A little spritz of lemon, so you know it tastes good. I put a cough drop.
Talk to me about your story with the high school sports. Did you get good feedback from that?
Oh man, yeah, I forgot that dropped last week. Crazy week. Yeah, great feedback. Shout out to my boy Noah Gross, sports anchor over at KXAN competitor NBC station here in Austin. He gave me a compliment at the baseball game this past weekend. Shook my hand, said, "Hey, bro, that was a great story." That's my Brody, but like you don't usually see that in the industry, like when it comes to competitors. And so like he gave me my flowers, and so I really appreciate that from Noah. And so he actually just had a story drop about Kimball Schuessler, one of the baseball players at Texas, and so it's a pretty good story as well. So want to give him props to his story. But yeah, really great feedback. Of course, like people take it the wrong way. Right, that's just how this business goes.
And in what way could they have taken it wrong, Corey?
Look, bro, look. So the story to me was the UIL changed the rules to allow technology in the press box and in the locker rooms at halftime for high school football games. that was the story. But people took it as basically like a promo for the technology that they're using, and the software that they're using is called Answers. And so I kind of dove deep into what the software was, because that's what the team that I was covering, Vandergrift High School, that's what they use. So like that's the only type of example I could have gave in my story that I was aware of. And so, I talked to the founder to figure out like, how does the system work? And I kind of explained how it worked, because through a TV screen, like it's hard to explain it without having to like go in depth. Right. And so then after I dropped the story, hey, my name is so-and-so. I have this company. We also do something like this. Here's a link if you want to check us out. If you ever want to give us a shot. No, I'm not. I'm sorry. Like, I got too much on my plate. Like, I literally did a story for UIL. Like, this isn't a promo for all technology companies that are using high school sports. Like, I'm not doing that. And so I had to cut a lot of people off. Like, I'm not responding. I'm sorry. Because that's going to go down a rabbit hole, right? Of like, if I do this story, now I got to do this story, and then that story. And now everyone wants a story about their technology that basically does the same thing. So, no, I'm not going to do that. But yeah. So, yeah, that did happen this week. And,
that's funny.
But yeah, a lot of great feedback. A lot of great feedback, though. A lot of people liked it, So I really was proud of that piece, because it took me out my comfort zone, right? Because I'm such like a artistic storyteller. I'm all about camera angles, camera shots, the quality of the things I shoot, because I shoot my own stuff. I don't have a photographer shoot stuff. And so I had to kind of be an intellectual in that story, right? I had to do my own explainer in front of a green screen and kind of have the best way to show and utilize my strengths of details so that the listener or the viewer could understand it better, something so complex as a football system. And I got a lot of great feedback from people who don't like football. And they were just like, I really understood what you were talking about. And it seems like a cool feature for high school athletes. So I think that's what makes me know that it was a success, when people who don't really pay attention to football understood what I was talking about and enjoyed it. So I just want to thank Vandergrift High School for letting me come out and shadow them and get all the intel. And of course, head coach Drew Sanders, he really did let me pull the curtain behind and let me take a peek behind what's behind the curtain, I should say. And yeah, it was a great time, great experience. And so
congratulations to you, my brother. I love to see your hard work always paying off. Let's get into some Texas talk.
Yeah, man, Texas talk. First off, we got to start with Texas softball, of course, because them girls are balling. Of course, they're the number one team in the nation, and they showed why in Austin this past weekend for the first round of regionals. Deon, they beat Siena, and then they beat Northwestern in back-to-back games to move on to the super regionals. But in those 3 games, they gave up 2 runs in the 3 games, but they knocked in 26. So that you talk about dominating. It's like, y'all should even put up to Austin at that point. Yeah. They was balling. So now that gives them a date with Texas A&M at the Super Regionals. And this is the same squad that Texas knocked out last year. If we want to talk some smack, they knocked out the Aggies. They ended the Aggie season a year ago. So of course, Texas A&M is probably going to be coming into Austin with a little get back feeling. They want to get their clap back, so we'll see how it goes. But Texas softball, they're looking legit, and it's going to be a great series against A&M this week to see who's going to go to the College World Series. And so, yeah, I'm excited for that. I'll be out there at one of the games to cover them and talk about that. So I can't wait to see what goes down in Austin this week. So props to them. And also props to Texas baseball. They won a bunch of awards this week. On Monday, they announced that Max Ballou is the Big 12 Player of the Year, and 9 Longhorns earned all Big 12 honors. To talk more about that, of course, I had to talk with my guy, Mike Hardge from iHeartRadio. And so here's our conversation with the new grandfather of the Hardge family. Man, glad to have you back. Look who I see in front of me right now. Mike Hardge, host of the Hardge Knocks Life podcast, radio show, iHeartRadio. Man, how you living, my guy?
Man, I'm having a blast. I'm excited about this opportunity to chop it up with you guys as always. But you know as well as I do, this time of year with baseball, basketball playoffs, hockey. If you can do that hockey, it is an
Dallas
important
Stars.
time. That's right. It's an important time in sports. And of course, you had golf and all the controversy that was going on. If you're not listening to Sports Talk Radio, you missing out during this time.
Hey, before we hop into that, the baseball talk, you talked about golf. If it would have been anybody than Scotty Scheffler, bro. If it would have been anybody except Scotty Scheffler,
if it had been Tiger, it would have been. If it had been Tiger, we still be talking about it. You notice how you see how it's
locked up.
Exactly. They won't let me out.
Like, come on, bro. No way you got out of there and made your tea time.
Exactly. Made your tea time.
Yeah.
Came in the parking lot screeching on 2 wheels. He was ready to go. Wasn't even on a motorcycle.
I was so confused that morning. I'm like, so y'all telling me he ran somebody, he bumped somebody and
not somebody, an officer.
Bumped the officer and okay.
Yeah.
Misunderstanding. It's a misunderstanding.
And shot 5 under. Let you know.
And then it was crazy.
Phased. And then he was like, I was stretching during my time in there. They had me on Sports Center. Get up.
I saw a tweet, bro. Someone said, like, imagine that kid that's a college student at Louisville, maybe had a long night last night, got locked up, and then you wake up, wiping the crust out your eyes. You're like, is that Scotty Scheffler walking into my jail cell right now? Like, what is going
work on my backswing for me, man?
Yeah.
Is that Scotty Scheffler leaving my jail cell? Like, dang, that was fun.
And I'm still in here. I can't get out.
Oh my God. Oh man. Well, Scotty's a Longhorn legend, and that's why we brought you on, because you're a legend as well, Mike Hardge. And so we want to talk about a couple of legends on the baseball field right now. It seems like this team is just rolling. They've won 6 straight Big 12 series. The boys are playing at their best level. Is that true? Hard?
That's fair to say. And you know, the funny thing about that, and you talked about winning their 6th series, this is the first one that they actually swept. You know, they've done it in a variety of ways. And now you start to look at it. And one of the most fearful things in any sport is a team that's hot at the right time. You start looking at this team and the progression. Tuesday night, they lose to a Rio Grande Valley. Everybody thinks the season is over. The sky is falling. And here they are.
David Pierce out of here.
Yeah, David Pierce is on the ropes. He's out of there. He's out of there. And then you sit and you look at it. And this is something that I've always tried to keep in perspective when it comes to a sport like baseball. You get an opportunity to go back out there and play the next day most of the time. So if you lose on a Friday night or a Thursday, as Texas played 3 series that started and ended on Saturday, started on Thursday, ended on Saturday, as opposed to the regular Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you start to look at it and you say, let the season play out. We've seen this numerous ways with this Texas baseball team and the way that they are always up against it, it seems like. But then all of a sudden, out of the dust, and when the dust settles, they're right there near the top of the Big 12. They won 20 games for the first time since 2010. This is a team that everybody thought was left for dead, and they just find a way to get it done. David Pierce's favorite word for this team is resilient. They've been resilient all year. They've shown their resilientness to be able to go out and play, and it's been quite impressive. And add on to the fact, their pitcher of the year, preseason pitcher of the year, LeBaron Johnson, wasn't at his top form, and then all of a sudden he's starting to find the strike zone, he's starting to be more aggressive, and the Texas fate can be rested on his shoulders if everything goes the way is expected.
So what is it, Mike? Why do you think it is with Coach Pierce's team? Because I feel like this has been the storyline for the past 3 or 4 seasons. You know, maybe you kind of start off slow.
Dang.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you start off slow. You have a horrible outing in Arlington, like always, as to start the year. And then questions started stacking up. Is Pierce the guy? Is this team good enough? And then once you get into the middle of Big 12 play, okay, they're making a little bit of a run. Then by the end of Big 12 play, this team's legit. Yeah. Why is that? Is this a recipe for every Texas baseball team since Pierce has been in control, do you feel like?
I personally, I believe that a lot of times as a former player, a lot of times you end up just blocking out the noise and just playing the game of baseball. This is something that a lot of these kids have played their entire lives. You don't come to the University of Texas just learning how to play baseball last year. You have been able to go through the ebbs and flows of a real baseball season and the adjustments. I mean, think about it. These kids are talented. We were talking about Max Ballou, and we'll get into that conversation, but you also have a Jalen Flores and a Jared Thomas and a Peyton Powell, guys that have been through the struggles, guys that have been a part of the teams that have seen what it's like to win games. So for me, you start breaking it down and you just say, hey, let's look across the Big 12 as well. That's another thing. The Big 12 talent-wise, so you're going to put yourself back into that conversation just by default. The team that was predicted to win the Big 12 was TCU. They weren't that great this year. No. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State were kind of expected to be near the lower part or the middle part because they didn't have their quote-unquote big arms or the way that it was. But here they are finishing 1-2. So baseball is a game that through the season, you let it play out, and by the end, when the dust settles, the cream will rise to the top. And you look at the talent. Texas had 9 players on the all Big 12 team. What was it, 4 or 5 on the first team? Yeah. So you start to look at it and you say, okay, they're going to be all right.
And you mentioned Max Ballou. Deon actually had a question about him.
Mike, what's your thoughts on him winning Big 12 Player of the Year? Did you like it? Did you see it coming? Is this something on that was like, okay, yeah, this makes a lot of sense?
To me, it made a lot of sense. And the only reason why I say, I know a lot of people are probably going to say, what? How did you know that? I actually get a chance to go to batting practice on days that I am calling the game with Craig Way. So I'm down there early and I get a chance to watch it. And me being around the game, there was just something about everything that this guy did that stood out to me, from the way he took batting practice and most importantly, the way that the ball sounded coming off of his bat. And then you get a chance to watch him take infield and you see the power in his arm from right field. Then he goes over to left field, makes spectacular plays. But his demeanor was something that stood out to me. The way he carries himself as a pro, as a guy that knows that I have the ability to change the game with just one swing of the bat. And that was the thing that stood out mostly to me. If you've ever been around it, and Cory, I know that you've been to a bunch of the games. You know, I've been running some of your videos on my show because you do such a great job interviewing each person. I was impressed to hear the sound of the ball coming off of his bat every single time. And I've talked to coaches about it. I've talked to former players about it. And I've talked to scouts about it. There's a certain sound when the ball hits the bat that stands out more than anybody else's. And Max Ballou definitely had that sound.
And
man, he
continue.
One more thing, D.
Go ahead.
And it's just a quick note. I'm not going to ask a question, but one thing I love about Max, less about his game, but his walk-up song. Deon, you love this. Walk-up song, "Rude Boy" by Rihanna.
Yeah, and that's how he treats those pitchers. He's coming in there as a rude boy to let them know, don't come out here and play around.
Come here, rude boy, is he thinking of?
Yeah. Out of all the songs, I would not think for a beast. That's his theme music.
That's his walk up. That's right.
Well, Mike, continuing with people winning awards or getting nods. 9 Horns earned Big 12 honors. What does it say about the team in general?
Well, we knew that this team was going to be great offensively. I mean, you look at it top to bottom, this was one of the most balanced lineups I believe that Texas has had in quite some time. I know that team with Ivan Melendez hit all the home runs, and it was the record for the university. But Ivan Melendez did all of the heavy lifting. But you start looking at top to bottom when you have Jared Thomas who can drive the ball, hit gaps, play good defense. You have a Jalen Flores who, to your point, I thought was going to end up being the Big 12 Player of the Year and a Golden Spikes finalist that he is right now. But you sit and you watch this team day in, day out. We knew that the offense was going to be there. But the biggest stories were two guys that we didn't expect to be there, and that's Ace Whitehead and Max Grubbs. Yeah. They have solidified this rotation in a point where Texas was going to struggle. When you lose a Tanner Witt, and then you had a Charlie Hurley who was originally supposed to be in the pitching lineup, and then all of a sudden he went to the bullpen, and then you bring him back in there, and then you have Gage Bain at the back end. We were hoping that we could find that. Yeah, you were hoping you could find a guy within that group to be able to do that. I thought Tanner Witt was eventually going to be the closer of this team just because of his makeup and his frame. Well, it ended up being Grant Bain, and he has done an exceptional job to be that guy.
Yeah.
Mike, my last question. Oh, go ahead, Corey.
I was just going to say, I love when closers have a theme, and with Gage's theme being the Big Show, and he has the Big Show theme song come on, like that's just all theatrics, and that's what I love about baseball, right? The personalities within the game. That's
and
awesome.
He's got a name named Gage Bain. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's what you want.
That is a pretty. When you say it like Mike, when you say it like that, that sounds fine.
Say it like that, you know that's coming at you, dog. That's coming at you.
Well, Mike, I know we talked about them having a slow start to the season. Are they playing up to what you kind of thought they would, or are they over exceeding your expectations of their play?
Well, coming into the season, you obviously thought Texas was going to be able to compete. You know, they were a fly ball away from possibly going to the College World Series last year. And so you know that they were going to have some talent that was there. Even though they lost a lot, you know that there were some guys that stepped up. The thing that has been the most impressive part to me is the game-winning hits and the clutch moments that they continue to believe that they always have a chance to win. If they're close and they can get a chance to rally, they've shown that they can achieve at a high level. So to me, watching this team play throughout the season, being hard on them as I judge, and then continuing to fight through it, and for them to be at that particular point where they are now getting a chance to play in the Big 12 tournament as the number 3 seed and a chance to go back and right the wrongs of playing in a big league stadium, because they never do well when they play in a big league stadium. Now we're going to see what they are able to do and see if they can get to the Big 12 championship matchup.
Yeah, on that point, though, Mike, predictions for Arlington, especially since, like you said, their history in that ballpark hasn't been good.
Yeah, I expect them to win at least 2 games, and I think that'll be perfect for them. I expect them to win against Texas Tech, and then I expect them to battle in their second game, but then possibly win their third game, and then I think that'll be it. Not in a negative way. Yeah. I just think with that momentum that they have, they're going to find out their fate. If they can make a run in this tournament, there's a possibility that they could host. And the only reason why I say that is good place to fly into, great baseball atmosphere, and they know, the NCAA know that they will get a return on their investment. You know as well as I do, sometimes it's a political aspect of it, and you got to know the bid has already been in. There's a bid cast every single year just because of how much this area means and how much baseball means to this area. So if they can go on a huge run, I do not put it out the realm of possibility of them being able to get a possible bid. A lot of people are saying no way, no how, but I don't know. I've seen crazier things happen.
See, Mike, this is how I know you're great at any type of media, because you're just helping me segue to my next questions so easily. Oh my goodness. I was going to ask you, how do you think, or do you think Texas is going to host a regional? So you're saying if they make a run, you feel like they will. And if they don't, though, I've seen a lot of mocks maybe having Texas go to College Station. So if that, let's see, I already hear it in your voice and I see it in your face. Like, if that is the possibility that they go to College Station, how do you think Texas will fare?
You think about this. During football season, what were they calling it? The revenge tour, right? Mm-hmm. This was some of those things. This is a revenge tour if that were to happen, because let's not forget the Aggies came here to Dish Fault and put it on the Texas Longhorns on a Tuesday night. Yeah. They got a chance to put it on them. This was a team, the Texas A&M Fighting Aggies, that were the number one team in the nation at one point. You know that there's, as Taylor Swift likes to say, bad blood between both of the fan bases. So you sit there and you start to think about all of this and the possibilities. It is something that I continue to look at, and I believe that if Texas goes in there, it will be one of the craziest scenes in baseball during that regional, and all eyes will be in College Station.
Man, that's going to be exciting because you have, like you said, a team that was once the number one team in the nation to a team that's probably one of the hottest teams in the country. And so that would be a crazy, crazy matchup. Well, Mike, thank you so much, man. I have no more questions for you. I really appreciate you hopping on. Where can people listen to your show?
Make sure you get over to AM1300, thezone.com. Make sure you are driving in your car, program it in, lock it in, and make sure you check me from 7 to 9 a.m. And if you want to, you can look at me on YouTube. You can see me on Instagram, following me on @HardballHarge. And I'm here, baby. I'm having a good time, and I appreciate you guys for always bringing me on. I appreciate the work that y'all are doing. And Corey, keep doing your thing, man. You're doing a hell of a job.
Man, you already know, doggy. I always got to put on for the team. You feel me?
Already.
You feel me? Man, it seems like every time Mike comes on, he's such a great time. Like, he is just the life of the party, man. I love that about Mike, man. What'd you take away from our conversation?
You would never guess he's a grandfather, man. You would think you would think he was our age. And Mike is a great time. A lot of great insight, basically saying that, this Texas team, they're finally playing how he thought they would be playing at the beginning of the season. So it's good to finally see them. And like we discussed in the interview, I don't know what the recipe is, but a slow start seems to be how they enjoy playing. I guess have people sleep on them and just out of nowhere say, all right, cool, it's time to get serious. It's time to take this thing up a notch. What about you, Corey?
Yeah, on that note, though, D, I feel like they just use the haters, right? They love the haters. I guess that's their way of motivation. They play bad intentionally, so then people hate on them. They're like, okay, bad. That's what we needed. No, they don't play bad intentionally. I'm just saying that. But, yeah, with our conversation with Mike, man, like, the dude just knows his stuff, first off. That's what I love about Mike. But then second off, like you mentioned, the sound of the ball off the bat of Max Ballou, right? Like, he hears it, and it's a different type of sound. And that's why he had 11 homers in Big 12 play. And so, yeah, I think it's so cool to know that, like, he's at the batting practices and he gets to see it and hear it firsthand. And we do, too, of course, at the games, but I'm not going to the batting practice. Like, he hears it when no one's in the ballpark yet. And, of course, that makes it echo. And so, yeah, dude, like, I think that's so cool to kind of get that perspective about how he knows that Max Ballou's bat is ridiculous because of the way it sounds when he swings. And so, yeah, thank you again, Mike, for hopping on. And so I will say this, though. Baseball isn't the only thing that's popping off nowadays. Of course, the NBA playoffs are in full swing. We're about to reach the conference finals. Mavericks versus the Timberwolves. Boston versus Indiana.
Yeah.
Did not expect that. Who knew? Maybe the in-season tournament, maybe that we should have believed them.
It wasn't a fluke.
It wasn't a fluke. Maybe we should have believed them back then. But we want to stick with the West during this episode. And so, of course, right down the street, I-35, the Dallas Mavericks, they're in it. Second time in the past 3 years. It seems like both of these squads, right, Minnesota and Dallas, they have two superstars. And one of those superstars is now encouraging and making the other one better, right? So in Dallas, Kyrie's the guy that's pushing all the buttons for Luka. And on the other side, Anthony Edwards is finally pulling what we all thought Cat could become out. And so now, who's going to be the better teammate? Who's going to be the better leader? Which superstars are going to rise to the occasion? We're going to see this week. And so, yeah, when it comes to the Mavericks, man, they came off a big-time series against the Oklahoma City Thunder, number 1 overall seed, and they beat them in 6 games. Luka looked like a dude. Of course, he looked hobbled as well, but he still had a great series. I wouldn't say it was his best efforts, but he did enough for the team to win. Kyrie made some crazy shots throughout the series, but man, oh man, the storyline to me is PJ Washington and Derek Lively. Those two guys have been a key piece for this Mavericks roster, especially in Game 6 with Lively grabbing those offensive boards and dominating Chet Holmgren. Like, you could really tell his athleticism and his body really affected Chet. And, of course, P.J. Washington had a couple big-time games scoring the basketball, and he hit those game-winning free throws as well. And so shout out to their role players stepping up. And Deon, to me, it just seems like Luka finally trusts, and not only trusts, but respects his teammates, and now you can see that on the court.
Yeah, this is interesting to see, you know, how basically two guys can turn your whole season around with Gafford, PJ. I mean, this team looks like a complete 180. You know, of course, them ending the regular season playing better defense, and then, you know, kind of these playoffs, that third guy being the X factor for them. You already know that for them to be competitive, Kyrie and Luka have to play great games, which has kind of hasn't been the case. Luka's been up and down, but it seems like every game they have a third guy coming in and giving them exactly what they need, 20 points or double-double. And so that's kind of been a shock to me. Is that, this team, on paper, they don't seem like a good team. Well, not a good team. They don't seem like a team that could make it this far, but when you watch them play, I mean, you have somebody in Kyrie that it's poetry watching them play. You have somebody in Luka that when he has it going, I mean, it's hard to stop. And now you have plethora of rim threats. Derrick Jones Jr. having a playoff run of his life. PJ, just a plethora of guys that are coming in and doing what they need to do. Do you think this playoff will solidify Jason Kidd as a good coach? I know over the years,
he got the contract. So,
because over the years, nobody likes his coaching, or they think he's not a good coach. Do you think this solidifies him for a couple more years? Like, okay, yeah, we're not moving on from him.
Well, that's a good point, though, D, because like you mentioned, there had been a lot of great feedback with Jason Kidd being at the helm. Even 2 years ago, like, people forget, like, he brought that team to the Western Conference Finals 2 years ago. And it was him that was kind of put the ball in Jalen Brunson's hand and let Brunson cook outside of Luka, And I feel like with Jason, he's been the coach that told Luka, you have to play defense. Like, you just can't not do it. And I think Luka respects Jason to that point because he is a former All-Star, former All-Pro. Is he in the Hall of Fame? I don't know off the top of my head. But if he's not, he should be. But yeah, Luka respects his head coach to that point where it's like, okay, you've been there, you've done that. Something that I feel like Rick Carlisle couldn't do, right? I feel like that's why they had to get rid of Rick, which is funny because now Rick's in the Eastern Conference Finals because he's doing his thing. And shout out to Rick too, I will say that, because Rick was kind of stuck in his ways while he was in Dallas. In his mind, he won a chip. They're doing it the way he wants to do it with Dirk. But it's a new age, and now he's turning the page with his new group of young talent. And you can see that his play style is different compared to when he was a coach at Dallas. And so props to him for adapting to the times, but he didn't adapt in Dallas. And so they need a coach to kind of put the hammer down on Luka, and vice versa, Luka respects. And so I feel like Luka respects J. Kidd. And so when you have a superstar that respects the head coach, man, you just see what's happening now. And so, yeah, I think Kidd has definitely earned his flowers. He earned the contract that he's gotten. I mean, think about it. 2 Western Conference Finals in 3 years. I mean, Nuggets have done that. That's it. So that's a short list, Deon. And to be in the same conversation as the Nuggets and Mike Malone, I think that's a pretty good list to be on. But yeah, dude, I think with the Mavericks and all the pieces that they have now after the trade deadline, they look legit. And, I picked them to make it to the Western Conference Finals to this point. I thought they would be playing the Nuggets and not the Timberwolves. And so with that being said, I think the Mavs take this series over the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I think it goes 7. I think it's a great series, but I think it's Luka's time. I think it's Luka's time to get his first ring. And I think the experience of Kyrie is going to play dividends in this series and in the finals, because he's been there, he's done that, and he's hit the shots to win not only a playoff series, but to win the NBA Finals. And so I think that's what you're going to see. I'm interested, though, to see how the Timberwolves match up defensively, because we all know they're dogs on defense, but you got two dogs on offense in Luka and Kyrie. So what's going to happen? We don't know. But I do know what's going to happen next on this pod. We're going to bring on my guy, Reggie Wilson. Like I said, Kare 11 out there in Minneapolis, sports director. He covers the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's in the locker rooms. He's talking to the guys face to face. He's in a space that we're not in. And so, of course, I'm not going to talk about the Wolves when I'm not at those spaces. I'm going to bring in a guy who's at the games, who's in the arena at all times. And so here's our conversation with Reggie Wilson. Joined by the man, sports director at Kare 11, Reggie Wilson. Of course, he's also a mentor at the National Association of Black Journalists, and he fears the Lord. Reggie, how you doing this morning, Doug?
Doing good, man. You know, I'm a little cooked. It's been nonstop, going back and forth with the Timberwolves. But you know what? I'm here. I'm blessed, living the dream, brother.
Yeah, talk about the T-Wolves, man. What a time to be alive in Minnesota right now, right? Can you just describe to me the atmosphere, the energy, the vibes out there in Minneapolis?
Dude, it's nuts, man. Like, you know, the team has not gone this far in 20 years, like since KG was there. And so so Minnesota is a place where there's a lot of sports heartbreak. Like, I was in Cincinnati before this, and it's similar, but it seems like even more so in Minnesota. Like, you know, good things don't usually happen to these teams here, and that's like a thing that people just kind of hang on to. Like, you know, since I've been here, you know, I've seen the Vikings go to the playoffs with the worst point differential in the NFL and then just get mopped, like just taken up out of there by Daniel Jones in the playoffs in that very first game, season over like that. Like, I've seen the Timberwolves play the Memphis Grizzlies in the playoffs, and they blow two 20-point leads in the same game, and Charles Barkley let them have it because Chris Finch would just refuse to call a timeout when the Grizzlies were making all these runs in that game. Like, I've seen some stuff. But even, you know, going back, like the Minneapolis Miracle, you know, everybody remembers that, right? Then the very next week, the Eagles got them up out of there, like just not even a chance. So, like, this place has seen some heartbreak, man. And so
I even think about like Brett Favre when he threw that pick.
Oh yeah, threw the pick. You know, everybody's like, oh, they're going to the Super Bowl. No, they're not. Like. Those things happen here in Minnesota. Like, the most successful team that they've had in recent years has been the Minnesota Lynx. They last won the WNBA championship in 2017, but they got four of them things. And so that's what the stage has been set here. And so, you know, these fans were like turned all the way up, hoping for good things, went into the last series, won the first two games on the road, and then came back to their home and got rocked by the Nuggets.
Yeah.
And then they got beat again in that third game, and it was just like, oh, man. And then the fans, they were a little tense in Game 6. They didn't know what to expect. And then the Wolves came out, beat the Nuggets by 45. Nobody was expecting that. The Target Center was like, as amped as I think I've ever seen it since I've been covering sports here. I'm going on 3 years here in Minnesota, and then they came back and finished it. Like? Dude, it was crazy. Like, the fans were like so hyped. Like, I don't think I've seen them be so hyped before. You know, it was a whiteout. Everybody comes into it's so weird when fans come to the game wearing one thing, and then, you know, they leave the T-shirts and the towels on the chairs, and as soon as the fans get to their seats, they're like, oh, yeah, I'm putting this on. You know, I'm putting it on. And, like, it's just white everywhere across the whole arena. And you got, like, 15, 20,000 fans just going crazy the whole time. Like, it was incredible to see. I don't think I've seen anything like it here in Minnesota.
That's awesome. And, you know, you spoke about some of the teams in the past and a heartbreak. Deon actually had a question about that.
Yeah, Reggie, what do you think is the difference from this year's team to the years past? I know they've been kind of running it back with the same squad pretty much for the last couple of years. What do you think has been the difference? I know you mentioned Chris Finch. I guess finally learned how to call it timeout. Like, what do you think has been the contribution or the biggest contribution to? I mean, this it feels like it's a 180 turn that they've made.
Yeah, I say it's a few things. One, as you mentioned, Chris Finch. Look, this was his first head coaching job in the NBA, and it's funny because like he kind of took over the team like during the season a few years ago, and he's just been trying to like grow with them as he's grown as a head coach, and he's learned a lot. And you know, if you know anything about Finchy, like a lot of people kind of praise him for his offensive mindset. Like he can get the offense together, which is funny because the Timberwolves had like middle of the pack offense this year. But that brings me to my next point. Dude, the defense has been overwhelming. Like if you watch that first series against Phoenix, they were all over them. If you watch the first two games of the Nuggets series, they were all over them. And it was just kind of incredible to see the defense just turn up like that. And I think that was something that we saw all season. The Timberwolves were the top-rated defensive team in the league. And I think coming into this year, you mentioned about running it back. Like, yeah, this is pretty much the same team from last year. But what kind of set them apart is Finchy just kind of made the decision that they were going to hang their hats on the defensive end. And that's something that they really leaned into, led by Rudy Gobert, who won Defensive Player of the Year again for the fourth time in his career. And so that's something that they decided, like, look, we're going to try to whoop teams on defense, and that's going to be our calling card. And you got, like, 1 through 5, like,
dogs.
Look, and it's crazy because Jaden McDaniels is one of the top defenders in the league, and Jamal Murray went off in Game 7 to start. They switched it up. Finchy switched it up, made a halftime adjustment, and put Ant on Jamal Murray. Locked him up. And then you had, Rudy Gobert. Man, for that 3-game stretch, he was barbecue chicken against the Nuggets. Like, people were talking bad, like talking real
Draymond
bad.
was talking
on his
crazy name. On TNT,
yes,
bro.
Talking crazy. I mean, he don't like Rudy anyway, but
yeah,
whatever. Choking him out earlier this year. Whatever. We won't go there. And so, like, he was talking crazy. Everybody was talking crazy. Well, they switched it up. Whenever they put Cat on Joker, clamps. He was locking them up. And, if you know anything about Cat, it was that viral moment once they beat the Suns. Ant was like, stop effing fouling, like he kept telling Cat, he's like, Cat could be one of the best defenders in the game if he just stopped fouling so much. And you see Cat just get silly fouls during games, and it's just like, Cat, come on, man, keep your hand out the cookie jar. But when he was on Joker, he had great success, and he made it really hard for Joker. So you think about that defensive intensity that the team brings. And lastly, Deon, you asked what changed. Mike Conley. If you think back to it, they traded for D'Lo a couple years ago, and D'Lo is a solid point guard, but he's a shoot first point guard. Like he's a dude that gets the rebound, comes down the court 2-3 seconds into the shot clock, and he's pulling up. And if he makes it, and if he makes it, you live with it. But when he's clanking it, you're like, dude, that was a terrible possession because now the defense is getting a long rebound. They're in transition, and now that's putting the Wolves at a disadvantage. We saw some very low IQ basketball from the Timberwolves when D'Lo was out there, and I think that kind of hurt the team. He made sure he was going to score, but like Conley has literally said, like, I'll get mine, but like I'm trying to let everybody else get theirs first, and then I'll pick my spots and when I want to try to do this. And so Mike Conley, we like to say he's the adult in the room. He's the leader on the floor. He's their court general. He gets things situated. It was interesting when he missed Game 5, like the Wolves were just out of sorts and they couldn't get themselves together. And then those 2 games that he came back in Game 6 and Game 7, they dominated, 45-point dominant win in Game 6, and then it was all downhill in that second half of Game 7, and Conley was a big part of that. He scored several points in that 15-1 run to kind of spark them. And so, yeah, Mike Conley is one of the big reasons why the Timberwolves are doing well. And it's funny, before the playoffs started, he was like, hey, I told the team, y'all, can we please take this seriously? Because I don't know how many more of these I have left. And it's funny that they're playing in the conference final for the first time in 20 years on the heels of a 20-point comeback against the Nuggets, largest Game 7 comeback in NBA history. And I asked Mike Conley after, I was like, man, what does it feel like that they're taking it seriously? You asked them before the series started, can you please take this seriously? And they're actually taking it seriously on the way to a conference final appearance. And he was just like, man, we're having fun. He was like, man, this is surreal. Because, like, I didn't see it like this. He was like, the way that we got here, I didn't see it like this. And so he's locked in and having fun. And this Wolves team, dude, they got a chance to do something. And that's weird to say in Minnesota.
It's exciting to watch from the outside looking in, though. I will say it feels like they're America's team right now. Everyone's cheering on the T-Wolves to kind of make it all the way to the championship. But you said a lot of great stuff there, Reggie, and I want to touch on a couple of different things. And then Deon wanted to ask about Rudy Gobert because you brought him up as well. But, you know, you mentioned Anthony Edwards and that switch from Jamal Murray, guarding Jamal Murray. And just for people listening, I have a stat here. Jamal Murray, he had 24 points, 22 at the time, when it was 58-38 in the third quarter. Jamal didn't score again until it was 83-80. We're talking about a quarter and a half where Anthony Edwards didn't let him score a single bucket. And you mentioned, like, he just locked him up. Now, he wasn't shooting well, but that's what's made Anthony Edwards special in my eyes. He didn't let the offensive game affect his defensive game. And he was able to lock up and still make an impact on winning. But yeah, dude, you talk about Cat as well and the way that he's changed mentality-wise because of a guy like Edwards. And so I'm interested to know, this team used to have Jimmy Butler, who a lot of people consider is a great leader. You know, you see what he's doing in Miami, but it just didn't work in Minnesota. So do you have any thoughts about why Anthony Edwards' leadership style is so effective compared to Jimmy Butler's?
He just has a way to lead guys. Like, I know we remember that Jimmy took four guys that, you know, are reserves and ran against
some more turmoil.
and you know, talking trash and all that. I don't think Cat and I don't think some of the guys were guys that would respond to the type of leadership style that Jimmy had. I think Jimmy kind of rubbed people the wrong way, whereas Ant constantly lifting his guys up. He believes in them. He wants to see them do well, and he wants to be a guy that lifts them up. And he truly believes in them, like truly believes in them. And if you listen to all his post-game pressers, whenever people try to give him the credit, you know, even when he's scoring 43 points in these playoff games, he's like, man, but did you see the defense from Jaden McDaniels tonight? You know, he's been plus 50, you know, with him being on the floor. Did you see? How
about that
we
meme
don't win that.
Speaking about that meme of we got Jaden McDaniels.
They got KD. That actually, they got Jaden McDaniels.
It makes a lot of sense now.
Fortune teller. Like, he's a fortune teller.
People was laughing at him, but now it's like, oh, he was right.
But dude, think about that. That was All-Star last year, and people were calling him crazy for saying that. And now you look forward into the postseason and you realize, like, dang, like, you know, and Jaden, up until that point, wasn't scoring a lot, but like his teammates believed in him, and he was affecting the game on the defensive end. Then you come out the last couple games, he scored 21 in Game 6, 23 in Game 7, and everybody's like, see, this is what Jaden McDaniels can do when he's locked in. And that belief, like, goes a long way with this team, and Ant really believes the things that he says, and I think that's really helped these guys.
That's awesome. Keith?
Yeah. Reggie, do you feel like, if we're going off the last series, do you feel like Rudy earned his Defensive Player of the Year award?
See, that's the tough part because, you know, these
you
awards
don't sound confident, Corey. I'm not going to lie. They don't sound confident. Look, that's a tough start.
Look, these awards are regular season awards, man. And it's funny because, like, they get those awards during the postseason when things have ratcheted up. And sometimes I feel like it's not fair. I think Rudy was put in a tough position because, like, he's kind of like a free safety. if you will. Like, he can roam, he could do different things, but like when you put him on Joker straight up with all the post moves that Joker does, like Joker has a little bit of Shaq, he has a little bit of Kareem, he has a little bit of Hakeem. Like, he's got all kinds of like legends in his NBA, post up package and all that stuff. And there were certain times where he's just like, dude, like, and even said like, man, I just laugh because like you can't do anything with him, like you can't guard him. And so like there were times where Joker was just doing some stuff and he was just like, oh, yeah, I'll just throw it up, and it was just going in. And people were like, see, Rudy can't play defense. It's just like, come on, man, that's a little unfair to Rudy to do him like that. I do think that he had his struggles, but like I said, it was a regular season award, and so he earned it with the way he played in the regular season. But that was a really tough matchup. I think you put Joker on anybody, and even with Draymond talking all that cash, like, yes, he's had some successful matchups against Joker, but look at some of his recent matchups against Joker. He was barbecue chicken too. Joker makes the best of them look like barbecue chicken. So I'm not making excuses for Joker. Like, he did, for Rudy, he did have his struggles against Joker, but like, dang, like it was a tough crowd for him.
I will say you're going to make that bread in this series, though. I mean, because especially with the Mavericks not having Kleba out there and to spread the floor, now Rudy can play that free safety position. And so you got a big down there with Gafford, you got a big down there with Lively. That's what Gobert likes. That's the type of matchup he wants. And so I'm interested to see how the Mavericks kind of utilize their offensive game and see if they can bring Rudy Gobert out the paint at all, see if they do any small lineups. I'm really interested to see what Jason Kidd's trying to cook up to stop that defense because, I mean, like you said, number one defense in the league the whole year. So it's going to be very interesting going against a two-headed tandem like Kyrie and Luka. I can't wait to see that. And so since we're talking about it, though, like, what's your prediction for that series?
Hey, look, it's funny because in
your
the last series,
your honest prediction.
Well, look, in the last series, I said it was going 7, and then they came out and won those first 2 games. I was like, oh, shoot, this might be Wolves in 5, and then we saw what the Nuggets did, heart of a champion, all that stuff. What's interesting about the Wolves is, like, their size. Like, they got length all over the floor. Even when you take some of the starters out, then you got Slow-Mo coming in. He's like 6'6", 6'7", 6'8". You got Naz Reid. He's 6'9", 6'10". And you got Nah. He's got length as well. Like, they're getting you, like, with all these guys who have incredible wingspans all over the court. And so that's tough. A lot of people were like, look, this Twin Towers experiment, the NBA is going small, the Timberwolves are going big, like, that's not going to work. And they've showed that it can work. And so I think that's something that they're going to try to do, is try to, like, get them in positions where their length is going to affect the Mavs. So I see it going 7 again. I think it'll be another 7-game series. Yeah,
you talked about that, the 2 big men, right? And a lot of people don't know this, but AD actually talked about this on his podcast. So Chris Finch was on that staff when the Pelicans traded for DeMarcus Cousins. And, that time span with AD and Cousins, they were cooking until Cousins got hurt. And so he said on his podcast that it wasn't Alvin Gentry at the time who was the head coach. He wasn't the one that made the offensive game plan. It was Chris Finch. He was the mastermind behind it. And so knowing that now, I'm like, it makes sense why the Timberwolves went out and got Chris Finch to be the head coach, because he's had the experience with 2 big men and he's been successful with that. And so now you see all this culminating and cultivating, and now you see the fruits of the labor, and you just get a fantastic team like you have right now in the Western Conference Finals. And so it's just cool to see all the pieces put together, even the GM coming over from the Nuggets and basically creating another roster that's a championship material. Props to him. And that's a whole nother conversation with his contract and how he's able to get out of that contract and be like a free agent as a GM. But dude, I just think that this franchise has done a lot over the last couple of seasons, under the radar type moves, like you said, Mike Conley, and now you're just seeing the success out of that. And so lastly, Reggie, last question for you. You talked about talking to Conley in the locker room. You talked about talking to Cat in the locker room. Any memorable moments that we may not have seen trickle into social media that you may have experienced in that locker room with these guys?
Dude, what was funny was they know each other a lot. Like, this team is really connected and locked in, but like, they didn't know that Ant went to Catholic school.
Oh.
And so, like, yeah. And so they were in the locker room. Nas and Kat were talking about their Catholic school experiences because Kat put on a shirt and tie before we were interviewing him after, I think it was after game 2. And Nas was like, dang, man, you don't get tired of wearing that? Like, did you have to wear that every day? And he was like, man, look, I'm used to it. I used to wear it. And Nas was like, yeah, I mean, I wore polos every day. Like, that was our attire. Mm-hmm. And then Ant, you heard him. He's like, hey, what y'all talking about? And they were like, oh, look, we talking about Catholic school. You don't know nothing about this. You know, we know you used to, you grew up the school of hard knocks. And Ant was like, I went to Catholic school too. Like he was real, he was real, lively with it. And Carl and Nas were like, really? He's like, yeah, like I used to go to mass and everything. And it was just like a hilarious moment. Like the conversations that they have in the locker room, even with the media around, is just hilarious. And so that was something that stuck out with me. It was just like, dang, they know each other a lot, but like, they didn't know that Ant went to Catholic school. Also, a nugget that I found out was Ant gets up really early in the morning, like 5-6 o'clock in the morning, and he's up ready to work. Like, he's like, man, I might get up and get on the game a little bit or something like that, but like
grinding, dirty.
but I get up. And so it's interesting. I mean, he is a new dad, so I'm sure that probably has a little bit to do with it as well. But I think that's just kind of like his routine.
That's awesome, though, man. That's cool. That's so cool. It explains a lot about Kat, though, going to Catholic school. He is kind of corny, so makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense.
The big purr.
The big purr.
Oh, man.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. Well, Reggie, thank you so much for hopping on with us. Where can people find your work and follow you throughout this playoff series?
On everything, X, Facebook, Instagram, Reggie Wilson TV. Lock in, I'm locked in.
And podcast, talk about Locked In.
Podcast on Locked On every Wednesday, the Minnesota Basketball Party, and every Friday, the Minnesota Sports Roundtable. We're talking about everything going on in Minnesota sports. Find us on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Minnesota.
Man, thank you so much, Reggie. Hopefully we can have you on maybe later in the series if something goes crazy. I would love to do that, do a little follow-up. But like I said, thank you again for the time, buddy. Man, that was a great time. It's always great, right? Thank you, first off, Reggie, for hopping on. It's always great to have people that are in the building, that are in the locker rooms. Like, that's why you come to the Mose Knows podcast, because our network is so wide. And I think that's the one point about what we provide to y'all, I guess I should say. It's just an inside look about what's happening in the locker room. So just what you take away from that conversation with Reggie, Deon?
I think my favorite thing is him talking about Go Bert. And
Go Bert. Stop calling this man Go Bert, bro.
What is his name?
Go Bear.
Go Bert. Oh, I'm sorry. He's never get that respect from me. So, but I love that he gives context to that. Anybody's gonna get cooked by Jokic. So it's not that it just looks crazy that you get this award, Defensive Player of the Year, and then Jokic ends up ringing off just amazing games against you. Like you said, you look like barbecue chicken. But anybody's gonna look like barbecue chicken when this guy is probably one of the most skilled all-around bigs, offensively at least, that we've seen in the league. So. Yeah, I love that he gave context on that for the people that, hate or love Rudy. Here, I'll just say Rudy then. But yeah, what about you? What's your biggest takeaway?
I liked how you talked about Anthony Edwards' leadership, right? Like the fact that he believes in Kat and believes in Jaden McDaniels from a year and a half ago, right? I'm not going to cap. Like, I didn't know that video was a year and a half ago. I thought that video was this year. So that's on me. So the fact that it was a year and a half ago when no one was talking about Jaden McDaniels, I think that makes that point even more. That, man, this guy really does believe in his teammates, and he's trying to instill that courage in them that he already has in himself. And so I think that's really dope to see a 22-year-old cultivate a type of environment where he's pulling the best out of his teammates that's been in the league damn near twice as long or 3 years as long as he has. And so I think it's really cool to see what's unfolding in front of our eyes. A guy in Anthony Edwards who people thought didn't even care about basketball. People thought he wanted to be a football player when he came out of college. And now look at him. He cared a lot about basketball. And he wants to be the best. And he's on his way to do so. So, yeah, thank you again, Reggie, for giving us that context and also the story about Anthony Edwards going to Catholic school. I had no idea that was a thing either. But, yeah, man, such a great time there with Reggie. And I can't wait to see this series, man. I think it goes 7. And I have the Mavericks going to the finals. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Timberwolves take it as well. So, let's wrap up this podcast, though, D. What's your final thoughts for today?
Final thoughts. Episode 22 was a banger. Of course, Unshameless plug, like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Final thoughts. I don't know. I just love the TikTok algorithm sometimes. If you don't know, there has been this, I guess, feud just now brewing on TikTok between the...
Don't tell me.
What you think it is?
Sundresses?
No, that is another great. That's another great conversation.
It's crazy to me how people from one culture thinks a sundress is one thing, and a different culture thinks a sundress is a different thing. I mean, it's so crazy.
I told you, Corey. I just it's funny seeing when you get on other side of the algorithm, on other people's algorithm. It's funny to see what they are talking about, and that starting the conversation of like, no, that's not what we consider a sundress. That's probably one of the funniest things. I mean, women and men stitching it like, no, that's not it. But yeah, not that. But that's actually one of them. But another one is dentists going on this rant about veneer techs and how that's not a real, it's not a real name of people that are doing veneers on people's teeth. I mean, I saw this one video. This girl's like, the person asked her, like, hey, so you think if you can do nails, you can do veneers? And the girl's like, yeah. No, that's actually, no. If you can do nails are just like doing teeth. I was
that's
like,
a crazy
oh my
statement.
God. I'm like, no way. This lady said this. And it's like, yo, that is hilarious. And that has just been the funniest thing of the rabbit hole I've been going down to, just dentist after dentist after dentist, saying like, yo, y'all need to stop going to these people that are veneer techs. And just for context, a veneer tech is somebody that took a 2-day course on doing veneers and is now putting teeth on people, putting these fake teeth on people.
In their homes, right?
Yeah, most of the time it's in their home or
don't even got an office.
Some BS office. And I just love dentists are hitting you with facts like, yo, we're doctors. We went to school for this. You have somebody that's been doing this for 2 days.
A little crash course.
They did a crash course in 2 days that's charging, like, veneers are supposed to cost 10, 20, 30 grand. And this person's saying, yeah, I'll do it for $2,000.
That's crazy.
So yeah, it's it's funny, the rabbit hole of that. Shout out to the dentists out there. Shout out to the black dentists for sure. That is just a hilarious. I mean, they showed this one Instagram profile. In the little bio, it was like, I am not a licensed dentist.
And people still want to get them done.
People are still hitting these people up. So yeah, those have been the two funniest things for my final thoughts: the sundresses and the veneer techs. What about you, Corey?
Yeah, final thoughts come from the basketball world. So we had a kind of basketball conversation. First off, well, I figure we mentioned WNBA as well when it comes to the turnaround, right? I feel like a lot of people don't understand that this 2-week turnaround is not enough for rookies, especially the top tier rookies that are going deep into the national championship run in the NCAA tournament. And so girls like Caitlin Clark, girls like Camila Cardoso, girls like Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, like they were just hooping in college, and now they're in training camp in the league. And I think it's crazy because can you imagine football players doing that, right? Like if they were in college and 2 weeks later in the NFL training camp, like that would be a no-go just on your body, right? And so I think you see that now with the effects of Cardoso. She's hurt. Now we can't experience and see her on the court at the pro level right now. And you kind of see it in Caitlin. right? Like the conditioning, she's getting tired a lot more. She actually had a little ankle injury during the game against the Connecticut Sun on Monday. And so body's slowly breaking down because there's just no time to rest. And so I hope that the WNBA can figure out a way to maybe extend that period of time between the end of the NCAA championship to the beginning of rookie training camp, because I think that's just not healthy for a lot of these young stars that are continuing coming into the league. And of course, it's been this way for years, but that doesn't mean you can't change. And so I think there's always time to change, and you already changed the charter flight. So continue to make different changes to make the league better, I feel like. And lastly, this JJ Redick Laker talk is heating up, and Shams just reported that the Lakers organization, or people in the Lakers organization that he has sources of, believe that JJ Redick could be a Pat Riley type head coach. Now, mind you, of course, if you know Pat Riley's story, former player, he was just a video guy. He was a play-by-play announcer, or a color commentary announcer for the Lakers, and then they gave him the job after being the color commentator as an assistant coach. And then, of course, he elevated to then a head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. So his story to the top is abnormal. And so I feel like that's why they're trying to compare the two, because, of course, if JJ were to get the job with the Lakers, it would be abnormal, you know? But golly, that's a lot of pressure to put on JJ to say he's a Pat Riley type candidate in their eyes. And so also reports are saying LeBron has nothing to do with his coaching search. I love how they lied to the media, because we all know LeBron is involved in his coaching search. And I would say, though, if I'm Jeannie Buss, I wouldn't allow LeBron to be a part of this coaching search, because if we're being honest, I would more so want AD to be a part of this coaching search, because that's the guy who I don't want to leave Los Angeles. You know, you don't want to hire a coach that's going to piss off AD, because you know LeBron's gone in 2 years, right? But you got to keep AD on this roster for the rest of his career. How do you do that? You hire a coach that he loves. And so I think that should be the guy that you bring into these coaching interviews, because you need to keep AD to keep this franchise afloat. So we'll see. We'll see who they hire. We'll see if they're able to get a splash hire, or they go with a dude like JJ. And now LeBron and JJ's podcast is kind of dope, because you got the coach and player experience. But until then, we'll see who they hire.
That's a big jump from you're starting with the Lakers. And I guess that's a Lakers thing now. They like to hire first-time head coaches, but that's a big jump, bro.
It's a huge jump.
And Pat Bev, I think they were talking about that on his pod. Like, I mean, we kind of look at JJ in a big way, from great college player to great NBA career, great podcaster. And, once you become a coach, I mean, people look at you completely different.
All that's out the window.
So, yeah, I don't know. If I was JJ, I wouldn't want that job so soon. Your first job, you got to coach LeBron in the Lakers. Like, I wouldn't do it. I would.
But on the flip side, though, D, like it's the Lakers. Like it's a love-hate relationship. Because like, yeah, it's big stakes, but it also like it's the Lakers. So it'd be dope to be the coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. And that's a huge flex as your first job to say that you nabbed that one. So yeah, I see both sides, right? I see how it's a can't miss opportunity, but also it's like, am I ready for that opportunity? And sometimes you don't know until you're in it. So we'll see what happens. He's in the coaching talks. Like he's deep in the finalists. Like he's a legit candidate. So we'll see.
I agree. I think my thing is, I just think that, especially with the Lakers, it's a revolving door with coaches. So you can get that job in 2 years. The Lakers don't like having coaches that long. I mean, they got Frank Vogel win the championship and
got him out of there.
You gone. They hired Darvin Ham.
Got him out of there.
You can see how people hate him now. So, I'm curious to see how that would work. But yeah, if I'm JJ, I would try to go get at least a middle of the road team. You don't have to get the Pistons or the Hawks. But it's something in the middle of the road and kind of start there. But I think the opportunity is always available.
I'm going to say, you talked about LeBron. This is my last point because we got to get out of here. But you talked about LeBron and, the effects of that and him being on the roster and the ever-changing door of coaches, and you can come back 2 years later. I don't think you can. I think with JJ, this is the time to get in because you're cool with LeBron. You'll have a relationship. And 2 years from now, LeBron won't be on the team. So he won't have that in as he does right now. So I think this is the time for JJ to hop onto this bandwagon and strike the pan while it's hot. Is that what the saying is?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I just think that's this mindset right now for JJ. It's like, well, I'm cool with the guy that runs the organization. He's going to be gone in a couple of years. I might as well take advantage of the opportunity. And to be honest, the difference between JJ and Darvin Ham, or the difference between JJ and Frank Vogel, he can just hop back into the broadcasting booth. Like, if he gets fired in 2 years, he's not looking for another coaching job. He's just going to make some more millions back at ESPN. They're going to welcome him back with open arms, like the prodigal son. And he's going to be Gucci. So I think that's also another pro for JJ, is that he has a backup plan in case it doesn't work out. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting situation in LA. But either way, the West is deep. So they got to figure out something. And this may be the time period where we see the Lakers fall off a little bit and go back to those years where Smush Parker was a point guard and Kwame Brown was the center. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see who they hire. And I would love to see them hire JJ just for the theatrics of all and to see the podcast. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, let's get out of here, bro. Episode 22, a banger. Of course, again, like, comment, subscribe. Let's do this, bro.
All right, as always, YERRRRR.
We hope you enjoyed that episode. Stay up to date with Mose Knows by subscribing to Cory Mose on YouTube or simply searching Mose Knows on Spotify or Apple Music. Thanks for listening and have a great week.